I'm Tom, and this is Adult Game Reviews. This is always one of my favorite videos of the year. It's my 25 VNs to play in 2025. I will also be putting together another video of actual games, not just VNs. However, most of the games in this genre I can't really show on YouTube. Spicy. So that will be a Patreon and Subscribe Star exclusive video at some point in January. Okay, also a little disclaimer. I don't know if most of these games are good. I've had recommendations or even just myself interested in some of these VNs. This is why I run this channel. I love these types of games and I'm always looking for the next diamond in the rough. So if you have any recommendations of games that I should try, put it down in the comments. So I'll start with the VN I just finished and will be the first review of 2025, and that's Hillside by Dark Blue. In Hillside, you play a bodyguard that has been hired to protect the daughter of one of the world's top models. It's up to you to make sure the powers that be don't succeed in hurting her. More on Hillside next week. Moving on to the next one, and that's Race of Life by Underground Studios. Race of Life Season 1 is supposed to release on Steam on January 10th, so I really want to try this one out. Race of Life has been on my list for a while, but I've waited for more content. So now I think it's time to check it out. All I really know is you play a PhD student who is a guest lecturer at a college, and I think you're divorced with a daughter. It also has racing in there somehow.
That looks right. I think that's right.
I could probably look into it more, but I don't want to spoil it for myself. We will see if I'm right and how good it is. Number 3 is Parasite Black by Damn Studios. Parasite Black is a dark fantasy game where through some circumstances you gain the power to fight the Myrnos, a deadly race of creatures looking to conquer the realm. It's up to you to fight them off and save the land. Parasite Black was released to early access at the beginning of December. I covered this in a video a while ago when I looked at dark fantasy games, and I'm very curious to see the progress that's been made. Number 4 is Desert Stalker by Zetan. Desert Stalker was released to Steam in early access in the middle of December. I played an earlier version of Desert Stalker. You can see my review of it down below. That came out in March of 2023. I loved what I got mostly. There were a couple of issues I had, but overall I thought it was great. You play a treasure hunter set in post-apocalyptic Egypt. Your oldest stepdaughter is following in your footsteps, and you split some time with her and follow her on her adventures. Just an overall cool idea. Let's see if it's as good as I remember. Moving on to Best by Dolila. Emily and I have been streaming Best on Picardo TV. What I have played so far with Emily has been pretty good, but it still feels like we barely scratched the surface. You play an incoming college freshman who gets sucked into a contest with 100 other students. Can you make the right choices to be the best? I'm looking forward to finding out. Next is the Interim Domain by ILS Productions. ILS Productions' first VN was Now and Then, which I did a review on. It was very solid post-apocalyptic zombie VN. The Interim Domain is basically complete. I think there might be one more update left. You play the MC who ends up in the Interim Domain when the world ends. It's a dimension that exists between the old world and the new. As a storyteller, ILS is very good, so I have high hopes for the Interim Domain. Number 7 is Jury by Nickel 3D Art. So I don't really know a ton about Jury, other than you play the MC who is on the jury where the defendant is a model or an actress. You are sequestered with others, mainly women, which I'm sure leads to some fun.
That sounds like fun.
Actually, that does sound like fun.
Chapters are released individually on Steam, which is a bold move. With most VNs being released in acts or seasons, we'll see if Jury is worth the extra cost. Next is A Foreign World by Highborn Tiger. I'm just going to read the description. Experience a story of life and death by navigating through many risky decisions. Explore potential relationships with people you know and people you only recently met. Become overwhelmed when faced with extremely powerful abilities, but eventually learn to conquer and control them. I couldn't tell you what any of that means, but I've had it recommended multiple times, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the hype is all about. Number 9, Stray Incubus by Flynn. Stray Incubus is a fantasy VN where you play the main character who is a member of a race of beings that were wiped out in an old conflict, supposedly by the gods themselves. Once you grow up, you set off in an adventure of your own. This is another VN that has been consistently recommended to me, and it's about time that I check it out. It's currently on season 2, so I'm hoping there's a good amount of content there. Next is Euphoria by Drifty. Drifty, the creator of my favorite VN, Leap of Faith. When you hit it out of the park with a VN like Leap of Faith, it's always so hard to try and capture the same magic. However, if anyone can do it, I would put Drifty on that list. I've been waiting a while for Euphoria to get further along in development. With season 1 set to release at some point in 2025, I think that would be the perfect time to check it out. Another one that I've been following for a while is Strangers on Paper by Gloomy Ghost Studios. I think the setup for Strangers on Paper is fantastic. You're a writer who takes a job as a bartender where you try to get inspiration from as many people that stumble into the bar. You reconnect with people from your past and build towards a better future. Another one that I was waiting on for more content, but Strangers on Paper has the makings of a fantastic VN. Hopefully I'm right. Next is Move the Chains by Misfortune. I wanted to do a review of Move the Chains back in November, but I just ran out of time. I played the first chapter of Move the Chains back in 2023. I loved what was there, but I know there has been some changes since then, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. I mean, a VN based around American football?
Team sports!
Yay!
Okay, I want to take a moment out there to thank everyone for a great 2024. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping in. Think about subscribing if you haven't and like the video. These videos are usually a lot of work, so liking it is an easy way to help the video out. Thanks all, let's get back to the list. Next, we're moving on to a remaster of a game that was originally released in alpha in 2018, and that's Where the Heart Is by Cheeky Games. The full VN is complete, but the dev is in the process of remastering the visuals. You can play the current remaster, which was released as Season 1 on Steam. This covers episodes 1 to 10 out of 25. You play the main character who's recovering from his father's death and all the fallout from it. I have a confession, I've never played Where the Heart Is, so I figured what better time than now. Moving on to Isabella Chasing Shadows by Bad Time Tales. This is another VN I wanted to play in 2024, but I just didn't get around to it. You play the main character whose fiancé was just murdered. Your job is to deal with the aftermath of her death and figure out the mystery behind it. This is a classic mystery detective story, which I tend to love. Is there enough content right now to make it worth playing? I'll let you know. How can I have a list of VNs that I'm looking forward to playing in 2025 and not put Project Passion Season 2 on it? I can't. So Project Passion Season 2 is on it.
It's on the list.
It's scheduled to release in March of 2025, and you can be sure I'll be ready for it. I loved Project Passion. The story and the humor were big draws for me, so look out for that review in March. Another one that I wasn't able to review when it came out was Tales from the Unending Void, which completed its first season pretty recently. I reviewed Tales from the Unending Void back in 2023, which you can watch down below. I last left it on cliffhanger, so I'm hopefully going to get some closure. Either way, I'm looking forward to traveling through space again with my crew. Following the theme of VNs I wasn't able to complete when I wanted to, and that's City of Broken Dreamers Book 2 by Philly Games. It was released in November. I personally really enjoyed City of Broken Dreamers. I know some people feel like it can drag at times, and I get that. However, when there was action, it was really well done. The story was cool, very cyberpunk. I hope Book 2 lives up to Book 1 standards. Next, we have Stranded in Space by Wildman Games. You play the MC who wakes up on a space station with no memory of how you got there. You unravel various mysteries and hopefully have some fun along the way. Stranded in Space is one of those VNs I have kind of sat on for a bit, mostly because people tell me that it starts fairly slowly, but if you're able to get past the first handful of days, it's totally worth it. There's a lot of content, so we'll see how long it takes for me to play through it. Number 19, from the creator of Seven Realms, we have The College of Thirst and Claws Season 1. Now, I played through the first 2 realms of the 7 realms, and I personally have had quite a few issues with them. The inconsistent renders and the feeling like everything is rushed. Now, I don't know if that's true for the last couple of realms, but I'm willing to give a shot to A College of Thirst and Claws. Just on first glance, it kind of feels like a serious version of Monster College. You're a werewolf joining a supernatural college. It's supposed to release to Steam in 2025, and depending on if the first season is complete or not, this may have to wait until 2026. We'll see. Next is The Assistant 1 and 2. This is another one I've been recommended quite frequently. The one issue that has given me pause is the English translations. You play a young professional who gets a job with a wealthy family to be their assistant. This is a very solid setup for a VN. We'll see if it's as good as people say. One that I'm very excited about is Between Two Worlds by Druscati Games. I played Between Two Worlds recently, and it really felt like you were in a game of D&D or Pathfinder. So I'm very excited for the final chapter, which Drusk is working on right now. When it completes, I'm absolutely going to be doing a full review, so look out for that when it releases. Next is Another Chance by Time Wizard Studios. Another Chance is a true point-and-click adventure game. You wake up in the past and use this as an opportunity to change the decisions you made. How successful you are is up to you. I reviewed Another Chance in January of 2023. I feel like it's about time to jump back in and see what progress has been made there. I thoroughly enjoyed Another Chance, and I'm really hoping that it stays that way. Okay, down to the last 3. We have Nephilim by Boo Plays. This is a long VN, so another one that will take you tens of hours to finish. Without knowing a whole lot, it reminds me of Morningstar in some ways. You play the main character who's been away from home for 10 years. In that time, you were trained to be a great fighter. But for what purpose? That is what I want to find out. Down to the second last game on my list, and that's Come Home by RJ Rhodes. I played through quite a bit of the content before, but it's supposed to complete at some point this year. I'm looking forward to fully playing through and seeing the conclusions to so many love interest stories. And lastly, we have Stormside by Attribution. You play the main character who's in a school for people with magical abilities, but their methods are questionable. Kinda seems like the headmaster. I debated having Stormside on the list because the developer is not very communicative. I hate this because you never really know if the game is still in development. There was a recent post by Attribution that said that they are still working on an update, but this is after months of no contact. It's almost been 1 year since the last update as well, so I'll be watching Stormside closely, and if this pattern doesn't change, I'll be putting this on the back burner until it's fully complete. Okay, that is my list. Last year I played 50 plus games, so there's always VNs or games that I will add to the list as the year goes along. If you'd like to see some games that I plan to stream in 2025, you can check that out on my Patreon or Subscribe Star sometime in January. Unfortunately, anyone wanting actual virtual games instead of VNs will have to go there because those are very unsafe for you two. I want to thank all my backers, and if you haven't seen my review of my dorm, you can check that out right here. Thanks again. Until next time.